So in this slide, we are going to discuss the signaling that occurs within the mind-body connection that tells us to avoid. So remember, when you get that signaling, it's not helpful, it's not adaptive, it's not in your best interests. So what happens is when we're younger or at some point in life, we did avoid something and we got away with it. We avoided whatever it was. We felt that relief. We got the benefits of that relief. But as we age, we get older, that strategy becomes less adaptive or useful. Often we get that signaling, and if we choose to follow it, we often end up hurting ourselves because we put ourselves in a pickle. We end up overwhelmed. The emotions and the tasks just build, so it can increase overwhelm, and it can also result in self-sabotage where, if you'd taken the time to chunk something down and kind of work through it, you would have made it through, and had an outcome that would work. It may not be exactly what you wanted, but it would have been enough to get you through. And if we don't take time to do that, it can result in self-sabotage where we end up being consequenced or, stuck because we're not taking those steps and getting down to the task to get through it and get it done. And there are nice little surprises. Sometimes we get down to doing a task and it worked out better than we thought. So just think of some of those times where, you utilize the strategy of avoiding and it didn't work out to your benefit. So it's really important that when you think of avoiding, you're also activating the fear response in your system. So remember, fear is false evidence becoming real. So what ends up happening is there's tons of emotional reasoning that goes on about why, rationalizing why you want to avoid and why it's the best choice. And that's really false evidence, but you're trying to make that real. However, always remember there's consequences to that. So all the reasons that were created so that it was okay to avoid are false. And avoiding doing any of those activities can also place you on the drama triangle. So if you worked with me, everybody gets the cognitive distortion list, so they know about that. They get the drama triangle because it can put you in the victim role where all of a sudden I'm in a crisis, poor me, oh my God, what am I going to do? Who can fix this? Who can help me? Who can come rescue this for me? Why put yourself in that situation? It doesn't feel good to be in that state where you feel desperate or on the drama triangle. I'm not saying you'll necessarily go there, but it is a possibility. So think about how when you avoid, how it increases the fear response, that false evidence grows, and you're turning something into your reality. You're creating a perception, but it's not based on the facts. So there were some strategies in some earlier episodes, but it's really important to take some time and think of what are some triggers. So what are things that trigger you to avoid? So what are they? So you want to make kind of like a list of things, and you want to think back into your past and think, okay, what if I avoided and it didn't work out well? Because you want your mind body to connection to learn like, when I feel that, yeah, it's not the best choice for me. And the best choice is to acknowledge the feelings there, accept that, yeah, I don't really enjoy this task. I don't want to get down to it. Or sometimes the task triggers certain emotions in us that we don't want to deal with it. It's better just to acknowledge that that's how you feel about it and accept that, yep, that task makes me feel that way. However, it's not about how I feel. It's about getting the task done. And just notice when you decided to get down to task, what the outcome was and how you felt afterwards. So just remember that I'm not talking about people that work well under pressure, or times when you do work well under pressure. So that is not involved in this exercise at all. But just think through the triggers. Think through the past, some incidences, just give them kind of a little label or title of when they didn't work out, and then also think of times when you got down to task, what the outcome was. So you're trying to get your brain to understand the cause and effect of avoiding so that what happens is when you think of avoiding, you're going to that cause and effect of like, oh yeah, I remember when I avoided before. Right, that's what happened. Great. I don't want that to happen again. Okay, there's this other time where, yeah, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want to do it. It was a lot of work, or I chunked it down, or I did this instead. But you know what? I'm glad I got it done. You want your brain to go to that memory, right? And think of like, oh yeah. So you're going to think of one where it's like, oh, that wasn't good. But now there's these other times that it did work out. And hey, if you've been a long time user of avoiding because you're chasing those short term benefits, well, now you have a new moment, a new opportunity to create memories of moments where you're not avoiding and you're changing the outcome for yourself. So, best of luck with that, and stay tuned to more slides from mindfulmodes.com. All the best.